Thank you, Pune Tech Community, for giving me this opportunity to talk on next gen coding, GitHub Copilot meets .NET in Visual Studio, where we would be seeing what is GitHub Copilot and how can we use it in the .NET, and how the visual how it can be integrated with Visual Studio. So, before we get into the session, let me give a brief introduction of myself. I am working as a senior software engineer for Ford, and I am an MTech data scientist from BITS Pilani, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer for more than 3 years. And I am a global speaker, blogger, and author. You can find my blogs under the C Sharp Corner site, wherein I got recognized for for the blogs and articles that I had provided as a C Sharp Corner MVP. And post that, I am a platinum member and top 500 member under the C Sharp Corner. This is my LinkedIn ID. Please feel free to connect with me through LinkedIn. Okay. With that, I am getting into the agenda for today, where we would be seeing what is GitHub Copilot and why do we need GitHub Copilot, and we would also be seeing the architecture of GitHub Copilot and what are the prerequisites that are necessary for a GitHub Copilot, and we would also be seeing what are the key feature and capabilities that the GitHub Copilot can provide us. And apart from that, we would also be touch basing on the GitHub Copilot pricing, and we would be seeing a demo on GitHub Copilot. How does it work? And at last, I would be taking up the Q&A, Q&A if there are any. And getting into the session where GitHub Copilot. So we had been hearing this for past 3 to 4 months, and this is one of the trending topic as well. What does this GitHub Copilot mean is that it is a AI pair programmer where it is developed by GitHub in collaboration with AI, where it is used to suggest and write code based on the context, and it can be used in several programming languages, including Python, JavaScript, Java, and in anything that you can see on, and it can be integrated with the various environments like Visual Studio Code, JetBeans IDE, and whatnot. It can be integrated with almost all the IDEs that are there for now. And okay, when coming to the key features of GitHub Copilot, what it does is that it is used to write code commands generation. When you want to write some commands to the code, then it does it for you. And if you want to if you are writing something, and if you are writing a code, and if you wanted to get it auto completed, then it also does it for you. And it also finds a code quality, it provides a code quality code to you, where it helps you to avoid the errors which occurs manually. And it also supports multilingual, whatever the language that what we are developing on, it will be used to support that. And it also learns continuously from the feedback that whatever we provide on, like it not just accepts the it not just accepts the prompts that what we provide to the GitHub Copilot. It also gets the GitHub Copilot feedback from us to learn continuously from it. And when it comes for the architecture, what it does is that when consider we have a user where he interacts with the GitHub Copilot. by installing and writing codes within the framework. And what GitHub Copilot is something that needs to be installed at the IDE. So when he had installed those things, GitHub Copilot in accommodation with the OpenAI codex along with the public code, which has been trained with the public code and the text on the internet, as well as with the feedbacks that what we had given to it, it would be providing the suggestions for the code that what we provide. Also, it would be providing the editor's context, and also if the user suggest some improvements to GitHub Copilot, it accepts and it would be working at it back and would be providing the suggestions based on our need. So these are the few things that the GitHub Copilot can do for us. And we had been talking about why do we need AI pair programming, right? So why do we need is that uh, like the world is changing, and the GitHub Copilot is being used almost by 70% of the companies right now. And why it is being used is that we have 55% faster coding than what we do manually. Like if we want to write a simple code, it would take a minimum of 3 minutes to 5 minutes, right? A simple code. If we are well versed in a coding language, it would take minimum of 5 minutes to complete a simple function that is there for a coding. Rather, what it does is that it would be completing the whole code with the prompts that whatever you are providing it, and it would be generated in various editors as well. Like it can be of Visual Studio, or it can be of JetBeans, and that can be of anything that whatever you had been working on. It would give you 46% of the code that what you need to get. So it is now available for all the businesses. And we have few pricing to be there for the enterprise, and for the professionals. There are few ways as well, but it becomes the one of the most fastest coding as well. Like it works as a AI pair programming, wherein it sits at you. It wherein like what does the pair programming mean here? You A programmer would be there, and another programmer would be there, and the second programmer would be helping the first programmer, right? So it is in the similar way that AI pair programming will also work. Like what it does here is that you would be the developer, and GitHub Copilot at the backend would be the pair programmer, wherein it would be helping you assist with the programming that are there for you. Like, have you ever seen the earlier versions of Microsoft Notes? Uh, in the XPs, we would get the notes kind of thing, right? And that's the major thing that triggered Microsoft to get the Microsoft Copilot. Like we would have that pin kind of thing when we had been using the Windows 7 or XPs, right? So that was the trigger that was there for GitHub Copilot to get started. And uh, that would help you in a way to get the programming being done much faster. So why do we need GitHub Copilot? Um, uh, GitHub Copilot would help us boost the productivity where because all the codings would be done faster, so that your productivity gets faster productivity gets increased. And you would have some suggestions which will innovate you to think think out of box as well. Like whatever the suggestion that what it gives can be something that is out of box for your requirement, which can be implemented, that would make your requirement to look and feel good as well. So it would make you innovate much better, and it would have a enhanced code quality. Like when we develop manually, there are some possibilities that we may get manual errors when like we may consider a situation like we had some family situation, or we had some um, sickness or something, then our mind would not work as productively as what we do. So there are some manual errors that occurs, and that can be avoided with the help of GitHub Copilot as well. And it also improves the coding speed, where like what we saw, it just gives you the whole program in minutes or so, where it is used for a much coding speed, and you would have these functionalities being implemented under the Copilot, so that it would give you a better functionality for your project. So we had been talking about GitHub Copilot, right? So how do we use the GitHub Copilot? Is that first we need to install the VS Code, and we need to search for the GitHub Copilot in the extension. And we also have to install the GitHub Copilot, and and before that we have to get the GitHub Copilot access. And to mention a part about here, GitHub Copilot for the students is free. For students like who are pursuing now, they can apply it with the help of the ID card that what they are having. And if they had submitted it, they would get the GitHub Copilot access being provided to them for free, and they can go ahead and use it. And for professionals, it is kind of we have to pay and get those things. And I have a pricing part being covered, and I would be covering those things at the last. So for now, we have to get the GitHub Copilot access. And once we had got the access, what we have to do is we have to log in with the credentials of GitHub Copilot inside the Visual Studio Code. And once that is done, you would get a pop-up being available. I would cover the part in detail in demo, and post that we have to restart the VS Code, and that's it. We are done with the GitHub Copilot installation. It is now ready to use. So um, you can now ask me, like, why do we need a GitHub Copilot when the Chat GPT is already available? So, why do we need a GitHub Copilot? Is that it is something like uh, customizable when compared to Chat GPT. Consider a situation like you are writing in a code, and somebody has to assist you with the coding part be, going forward. Like chat when you sorry when you give the same to the Chat GPT, it won't work because it is not that much customizable. Wherein when you give the same to the GitHub Copilot, then that starts giving you the answers with the help of AI and large language models, and that is more customizable as well. That's the reason we would go ahead with the GitHub Copilot. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the reason we would go ahead with the GitHub Copilot rather than the ChatGPT.
Vaishnavi, sorry, Bhargavi, I will suggest that you please take 5 minutes break.
Yeah, sure. One second. Thank you, Smita, for that. And I would now get back to my slides. So, to see the demo part, what we have to do is we have to have the Visual Studio Code. And once that is there, what we have to do is we have to go to the extensions part, which are there, which would be available here. And once we go to the extensions, we will have to find the GitHub Copilot. And once the GitHub Copilot has been um, found, what we should do is we should enable it and install it. And once that has been installed, you would see a icon at the last where it would indicate you about the status on the GitHub Copilot, like whether it is ready or whether it is not ready, and the status that what it can do. So at first, it would not be showing you the ready status. For which, what you have to do is you have to go to the GitHub Copilot. I mean, it would prompt you to log in inside the GitHub, wherein when you log in with the GitHub credentials, it would then pop you up with the status like you have to restart the Visual Studio Code, like what we saw in the slides, right? So it would prompt you with the restarting of the session. So post that, when you restart it, you would see that the GitHub status to be ready. And once that is done, what we can do is that we would we then have something called as GitHub Copilot chat as well. GitHub Copilot chat is something like uh, where uh, where it is one of your companion as compared with the chat, where you can have a chat kind of thing being enabled inside the Copilot, like which is very similar to the GitHub Copilot, and it is like it is somewhere. Like what we do inside the chat gpt we can do here as well. That's the feature that has been recently came up along with the Visual Studio 8 update as well. So once that is all done, we should now go to the project we should now go to the program that what we have to do. And to get started with the coding, what you have to do is you have to start your programming with the double backslash, and then you can write your commands with that. Write a program for consider, like I was telling you, right, it would provide some suggestions by itself. So that is where it happens to, like it had provided me a suggestion with that I had accepted, and it has been now available too. And it would also give you few more suggestions where you can go ahead and use it. If it is not needed, then you can go ahead and skip it. Where when you want to accept it, you can give on tab, and when you want to skip it, you can just give on the enter, and it would go to the next line. So it had now started writing the coding, and let's see how it writes. And this is something like I have not did anything. 1 second. Let me take a simple coding. Yeah, so that everybody would understand it. Can you now see that the whole program is being popped up? So it has given us two suggestions. One is accepting this particular suggestion that what it is popping up right now, and the second one is this one where it had given us the two different suggestions, and if we want to accept something like uh, whichever the one that whatever we need, then we have to keep it like that and we have to accept it. And once we had accepted it, it is very similar to the other programming, I mean the regular programming language that what we do. We should then go ahead and compile it, and we can go ahead and um, compile and everything. So um, to know about more on the keyboard shortcuts that are being available, it's like 1 second. Yeah, it is there, right? What we can do is these are something which are uh, important things that are available. Like Control plus backslash will enable you with the accept panel suggestions at the cursor, and Alt plus close braces will enable you to navigate to the next panel suggestions. And these are some things which are available under the key shortcuts, wherein you can change by yourself with editing it and keeping your kind of thing over there as well. And there are few things that are need to be remembered, that are like uh, tab will work for accepting the answer, and then enter would work for skipping the answer and going ahead with the next line of accepting it. So these are some things which are available. And like coming to the, I mean, when it comes for GitHub Copilot, so this is something that what we can have for GitHub Copilot. So we now have the GitHub Copilot being enabled, right? So if we want to run some unit test or something like that, then you can go ahead and put it over the chat that are there, like what are the type that needs to be created, and that would be creating it for you, and it would make your testing and everything been so easily as it as it can do for you. So these are some things that are there. And consider like write a simple uh, like Uh, tic-tac-toe. Consider we are telling it to write a simple artificial intelligence program that plays a game of tic-tac-toe. Then it does it for us. Like it gives us the various suggestions that are there. And the main point over there is that it also depends on your network speed as well. If your network speed is not up to the speed, then what it does is that the loading time gets delayed. Like it has to hit the uh, hit the repositories and then has to come back, right? So you have to have a good network speed to make it accessible. So it had written us a program for us with the things that are there. I mean, um, simple artificial intelligence program as well. And these are some examples that I would like to cover. So Coming back to the slides, we had saw few demos which are like what are the shortcuts that are available and how do we install it, and then we also saw how do we use the GitHub Copilot, and we also saw few functions that can be created inside it as well. Yeah, I had missed out one thing, like when we want to write something, write a function alone. I had skipped this part. That runs just a second. Let's make it. Sometimes GitHub Copilot misbehaves. Like the even if all the login and everything are being there, and it is like not suggesting you up with the suggestions, then what you can do is that you can restart the whole Visual Studio, and you can um, uh, reload the file, and then you can try starting up with the prompts that what you need. Then it again starts giving you with the suggestions. So that's one of the way that what we can avoid that particular situation. And now it had given us with the function as well, and uh, I mean the function as well. So this is how you can use the GitHub Copilot, and it is something very minimal as GitHub Copilot can be used. And coming to the Copilot pricing part, what we can do is that uh, it offers for individual at the rate of $10, and for business it is $19. It is also very similar like what we can do for the students, and students can definitely make use of the free Copilot part, where they can learn something like if you are very new to programming as well, what you can do is you can start writing in the programming with the help of GitHub Copilot, and you can go ahead and search what is what, and you can learn from it, right? So uh, start learning from those things, and for individuals and business as well, we need a GitHub account being created for it, and with the help of the GitHub account you can sign in, and by paying the required amount, then we can get a free trial, or the option to get the GitHub Copilot and being available for the GitHub being used. And there are few options that are there for the GitHub to be where you can become an pro under the GitHub Copilot. Hmm, Microsoft itself offers a training where you can go ahead and scan this part. Upon completing this particular training, you would also get a certification at the end, where it suggests you like from the end to end on how we can go ahead and use the GitHub Copilot, and how can you find differences between GitHub Copilot, individual, business, and enterprise. It also has a brief of how to troubleshoot the GitHub Copilot as well. So I certainly recommend you to go ahead with the course and complete the same as well. And I now stop here for any questions that are there. Um, and I would be happy to help. And this is my LinkedIn ID as well. If you have any doubts post the session, I would be happy to help.